I wanted to ask you just a little something about the things that could go wrong. Because things can go wrong. They might be little things. They might be just a little gaffe here or there. A little thing that goes against royal etiquette. Not that we're expecting this to happen, but when we go back to the last state visit by President Trump, there was a moment, wasn't there, that we do remember for being something that he did ever so slightly wrong.
Oh, come on, Philip. What could go wrong? Come on. No, basically, the monarch invites the guests to, review the honor guard. There's going to be a large honor guard to greet the American president. And what happened was Queen Elizabeth, sort of gestured delicately that it was the moment for the president to go forward and to review the troops. But he kind of, it's hard to describe, but he kind of just went too quickly. And so he sort of stepped in front of the Queen, which is really not done. The British public was just aghast that this happened. But, even though these events are choreographed, planned, meticulously organized, people are people, and sometimes things just go wrong. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a state visit for something to go wrong. In 2016, when the Obamas came, it wasn't a state visit, it was a post-state visit. They were just kind of coming back to say hello. The helicopter landed at the Windsor Estate here, and the Obamas got out, and the King and Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were there to greet them. And and there was just this moment where they're going back to the Range Rover, and Prince Philip gets into the driver's seat, and the Secret Service is at that point aghast because they're the ones who drive the president around. But no one was really going to argue with Prince Philip. So there's this other awkward moment where then President Obama, tries to get into the back seat. And then he has to gently be asked to go to the front seat because the Queen has to get into the back seat. So you have these moments, but the royals are very accustomed to the fact that not everyone understands royal protocol, and so they're very forgiving about trying to ease the way, because after all, the point is to show friendship, to show camaraderie. No one wants to embarrass anyone, even though sometimes they do something embarrassing.
Darnitza, you know everything about the British royal family and any other state visits that might have happened in the past. Thank you very much for your expertise, and we'll be speaking with Darnitza Kirker later today. We'll be back on air together at 1 o'clock here local time. That's 8 in the morning Eastern time. And during that time, between now and then, you will have seen a lot of those key events already. We're expecting the arrival of Marine One. We got a little bit ahead of ourselves just earlier. Marine One, we're expecting to take off soon from Winfield Palace in Regent's Park and come here to Windsor Castle. Again, that's going to be happening within the next few minutes. You will be seeing that arrival of President Trump and the First Lady, but then also the much discussed procession on horse-drawn carriages throughout the Windsor estate, and then the other official arrival. That is when you'll probably first see King Charles III and Queen Camilla. All of those events will be live on our YouTube channel, of course, and if you're watching on apnews.com, of course, that's where we will have blog items throughout the day, the latest photos, the latest video as well. And you're getting this live coverage because at the Associated Press we have journalists on the ground throughout the world. And if you value unbiased and independent journalism, then please feel free to support us. That would be at apnews.com/donate, apnews.com/donate. Thank you very much for joining us for our live coverage from Windsor Castle. Again, we will be here throughout the day, and Darnitza Kirker, our expert in all things royal family, will be joining us throughout as well.
Okay, guys, have a look. This is it. First look at the first look at the first edition.
Sounds great. क्या देख रहे हो? इतनी सारी ट्रॉफीज। बोथ माई डॉटर्स आर स्विमिंग चैंप्स। लोग कहते हैं कि बढ़ते बच्चों को ये देना चाहिए, वो देना चाहिए, बट व्हाट अबाउट कुकिंग ऑयल? सोचा है कभी? इसलिए मैं लाती हूँ मेरे घर वाला कुकिंग ऑयल, न्यूट्रिका प्रो एनर्जी, मेड विद यूनिक प्रो ब्लेंड टेक्नोलॉजी, यानी स्पेशल एनर्जी बूस्टिंग फॉर्मूला, जिससे मेरे बच्चों को मिले एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी। न्यूट्रिका, जैसा घर वैसा कुकिंग ऑयल।
Reach your impossible. Lenovo Legion.
Get ready Delhi for the very first time. World-renowned magician O.P. Sharma Jr. brings his spectacular live magic show to your city starting September 19th at Avane Galib Auditorium near Mata Sundari Women's College ITO. Prepare to be amazed by jaw-dropping acts like mystical Tilismi Chehra and the world's most dangerous act, Drill of Death, captivating mime magic, and the great illusion of India. So be prepared to be amazed. Shows run daily at 1 p.m., 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. and on Sundays 11 a.m., 1:30 p.m., 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. So don't miss out. Book your tickets now at magicianopsharma.com and experience the ultimate magic extravaganza.
साइज देख के जज किया ना? Think again. Amrin Power Minis. Power banks, but make it small.
Get out the God's sake! With his hands to the right! Right leg!
guard of honour of the Grenadier Guards, the Coldstream Guards, and the Scots Guards are present and awaiting your inspection.
the left in threes. 4 threes. Left. Right over there. Line left, right.
bodyguard, by the centre, quick march!
No competition. You can go in ahead and I'll
Justin and his camera.
amazing.
I can take Isaac now.
Okay. Just pack it down the camera and then.
Duncan, I'm leaving you here for sure. Yeah, that's fine. Duncan, you good to go?
Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep you because all my stuff is still not packed away.
Where is it? Oh, no, that's fine. Don't worry. Okay, you guys, I'll take you. Yeah, to go back out the way we
Go back
came
the way
in.
we came in.
Yeah, so back.
Go back to advanced gate
Yeah,
down.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then report again for the beat to retreat.
Yes, please. Yeah, thank you. 3:30. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Alright, I know. No worries. I know it's.
Can I leave my camera here then?
When you got everything.
Okay. But you're happy with that shot?
wiggled further out last time.
Yeah.
So
I have a feeling we were sort of like coming off.
they had a bit there and it went out on the gravel. So the angle was awful. And then getting out the carriage. That guy stood in the way of everything.
I know, it's like, he wasn't here last time. I mean, I was okay, he was cleared fine up for the right, so the bit of them getting onto that carriage was very fast.
I'm assuming he left it thinking he would be coming back.
I think he thought he would, but...
I'm assuming this
Blimey.
is his stuff. That's all mine.
Okay. And this.
And this.
That's yours. Okay, so it's just this.
It's just that.
All right.
I think that's the only thing remaining.
All right. Amazing.
Everything else has already gone on eBay.
Thank you.
Cheers, thanks.
There you are.
I was laughing at another caravan.
I was literally saying.
Thank you very much for joining us for our live coverage of President Donald Trump's state visit to the United Kingdom. If you're just joining us, a few elements of this day, of this first full day of the state visit, are already behind us. President Trump and First Lady Melania now inside Windsor Castle. Plenty of elements still left that you will be able to see live here on our YouTube channel, also on apnews.com. That is also where we will have constant updates throughout the day with the latest blog items, but also the latest photos and video coming out of Windsor Castle, and this unprecedented second state visit to the United Kingdom for US President Donald Trump. It is something that has never been done before for a non-royal. Let's take you through the program of what you might have missed or might have watched with us here during our live coverage earlier today. The arrival ceremony, first of all, for President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. A first greeting from Prince William and Princess Catherine. Then another part of that official greeting was King Charles III and Queen Camilla, of course. And joining us throughout the day for commentary, but also her expert knowledge on all things British royal family, is Danica Kirker, based here in London, and who spends quite a lot of time here in Windsor as well. We just had a quick look at what we've seen so far. That includes, of course, the carriage procession. That has already happened on the grounds of Windsor Castle. We should mention everything that you've been seeing today so far has been happening inside the grounds of Windsor Castle and the grounds of the Windsor estate. Donald Trump won't be seen by the public here, some members of whom you can see behind us here. We're just at the entrance of Windsor Castle. So Danica, from what we've seen so far, essentially things are going as planned, but still I want to know your impressions of what we have seen so far. All the pomp and the pageantry that we spoke about earlier, that we were previewing, what kind of an impression did it give you?
Well, I mean, the military is certainly out in force today. They're earning their salary, that's for sure. I think that you know, it kind of goes to the point that we're at a proper castle. You know, Windsor Castle is nearly 1,000 years old, and it you know what, it looks the part. And you know, so you have the troops with their red tunics and their bearskin hats lining the way, greeting the president. It offers that picture that's so important for a state visit. You really want to have the pomp and the ceremony, the royals, have everything in one box. But the other important thing you alluded to just now, Philip, is that it's all within the confines of the castle. You know, President Trump doesn't really, at any point in his state visit, you know, face the public. And, you know, we're in a time where, you know, his security is always extreme. But, you know, recently we had the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and that, you know, brought up, you know, security concerns again. So I think it's all just very compact, and you know, it's all sort of, at the moment, going really well.
And all of what you'll be seeing today, again, will be happening within Windsor Castle. So this is a two-day state visit. Officially, President Trump arrived yesterday. He spent the night at Winfield House, that's in Regent's Park in central London, and only thereafter today, in the morning here, local time, did he arrive here at Windsor Castle. So all of these events are taking place right here. That is a difference to other state visits in the past, and it's also different to the last state visit of President Trump. So the obvious question is, why is all of this happening here at Windsor Castle?
Well, a state visit is a really unique thing. There are only 2 or 3 a year, and that's because they take so much work. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been working for months to make sure that everything is perfect. The soldiers have been rehearsing and drilling and rehearsing with each other, bringing the various elements together. It's really difficult to bring in the music and the snap of the rifle when it whacks against the shoulders of all of the soldiers all at once. And, you know, we're also going to have a fly past later on. So, you know, all the elements of the military are out there.
We see the welcome ceremony, of course, that I mentioned already. Also, the national anthems both being played for the dignitaries and the inspection of the Guard of Honor by President Trump, of course something that he did during his last state visit to the United Kingdom as well. Of course, it's always worth mentioning the political backdrop to a state visit. In this case, it's a very different political backdrop, of course, in both countries. Here in the United Kingdom, there has been a lot of talk about the firing of Lord Mandelson, now the former UK ambassador to Washington, because of his connections to the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. There is also the simple fact that these two leaders don't really see eye to eye on so many political issues. And if you will, the backdrop in the United States is a very different one. The things that are commented upon during this state visit, they include, as you mentioned, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, a far-right influencer and a big supporter of Donald Trump. So there is always a backdrop to these state visits. They don't happen entirely in suspended space, if you will. Let's talk about the politics a little bit, because they won't necessarily come up during the state banquet that is going to be happening later here today within Windsor Castle. But the politics will come up invariably tomorrow, during the second day of Donald Trump's visit, when he sees Prime Minister Keir Starmer at Chequers at his rural retreat. They'll undoubtedly be talking about the politics of the day, won't they?
They absolutely will, but you know, that's tomorrow. Today we're talking about soft power, that ability to meld the royals to the political establishment, to offer, you know, both your friends and your rivals a chance to be photographed with Princess Catherine and the Prince of Wales. That goes a long way in any country. And so, you know, politics always comes up. In theory, it'll even come up at the banquet tonight. But I'm sure it will all be done very, very quietly. Discussions among the various parties at the table.
All depends, of course, also on who you're sitting next to. Of course, the president will be sitting next to the king, but then there are so many other possibilities of who's going to be sitting next to which royal, who's going to be sitting next to which member of the administration.
That's a whole other kind of politics, for sure. I mean, the whole who sits where has been, tormenting the brains of many a staff member for weeks now. You know, they normally mix the royals out into the. We're having us 160 for dinner. This evening. So they mix the royals out with the various dignitaries and celebrities and other people that will come, but it's not like anyone monitors the conversation. So, you know, be sure. I think a lot of people, though, will sort of just be sitting there in awe with the whole festivity of it all.
Well, we always talk, don't we, about the 2 days of this visit that Donald Trump is now in the middle of here to the United Kingdom, this being really the state visit, the main day of this visit. He was, after all, invited by King Charles III, and he will be spending his whole day here at Windsor Castle, and indeed is also going to be spending the night within Windsor Castle. But then tomorrow, Thursday, is an entirely different matter. That is when the first couple, President Trump and First Lady Melania, will be traveling to Chequers. At least she will be traveling near the end of that part of the trip to then depart the United Kingdom again for the United States. And that's, of course, where politics will be discussed. Again, worth mentioning the differences that currently exist between these two members of the so-called special relationship. When it comes to Gaza, for example, the United Kingdom planning to recognize the state of Palestine at the UN General Assembly next week in New York. That is something that the United Kingdom will do, that the United States very firmly opposes. When it comes to Ukraine as well, of course, the United Kingdom would like, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer would like the President of the United States to have less of a cozy relationship, if you will, but certainly not as close a relationship as he currently has with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Again, that's what's happening tomorrow. Let's take a look back at what we'll see over the next few hours, because this is what you'll be able to see here during our live coverage over the next few hours. Again, President Trump, the First Lady, everybody involved in the state visit currently having lunch within Windsor Castle. But there is more for us to see. There will be a viewing of the royal collection inside Windsor Castle. There will be something called the beating retreat ceremony. Probably worth going into that. What is it? What is a beating retreat ceremony? What is President Trump going to be seeing inside Windsor Castle in a few hours' time?
Well, I mean, if we could first start with the Royal Collection, because it is certain to be something tied to the long history between the United States and the United Kingdom. You know, the Royal Collection has a deep well of documents that it could go to, and so that'll certainly be, you know, one of those things that really might be a highlight to the trip. And since President Trump has a connection to the United Kingdom, his mother was from Scotland, you know, I have a feeling that they're going to bring up a little something about her. I mean, I'm not sure what, but I just have a feeling that her connection to this country will come up. You know, the beating retreat ceremony is it's the first time that they performed it at a state visit. But again, it's just one of those things that the military has just really worked on to try to make it look good, to try to make it sound good. So that, you know, I mean, the whole point of a state visit is that the pomp and ceremony has a purpose. You know, that, you know, President Trump walks away from this with warm and fuzzy feelings, if I could put it that way, about this country. So that when they, you know, when he and Prime Minister Keir Starmer sit down and try to talk about some of the issues you were talking about, Middle East and Ukraine, that they have a better understanding of one another when they're going forward to talk about some of the world's most intractable problems.
It's worth also mentioning that we will, of course, be bringing you live coverage not just of what is happening within Windsor Castle here, but also what might be happening later today, and in fact will be happening later today in central London. There will be a protest against the state visit of Donald Trump, and there are expected to be quite a lot of people there, and that is something that we will, of course, bring to you live as well. There's also the possibility of there being a smaller protest here in Windsor, and we saw a smaller protest here last night as well. I think a few dozen protesters were here, a relatively small one, of course, and right now, well, we're seeing a few people with the red Trump-supporting hats on, and there are others who are protesting this visit. That's the kind of atmosphere that we have here today. How would you describe the atmosphere that we've felt here since this morning? There was obviously that feeling of anticipation, but it's certainly calm, isn't it?
Well, despite how ugly it is outside, it's kind of a festive sort of day. I mean, no one's causing too much trouble. It seems like the good townspeople of Windsor are, you know, sort of mulling around and trying to direct the many journalists who are here to get them to the right place. But I think at the moment, really, everyone who wants to protest is getting their chance, and those who want to not protest are getting their chance too, if I can put it that way.
And in fact, we can see them just off to our side. There are those who are Trump supporters and those who are protesting his visit, essentially standing side by side. So that's essentially the kind of situation we're seeing here. We certainly should mention that this is a very secure place right now. Essentially, it's been described as the iron ring, the ring of steel out around Windsor Castle. And of course, this visit is happening exclusively within the grounds of Windsor Castle and the Windsor estate. So this is a place that has been secured significantly by the police.
And, you know, Windsor is also not a huge place. I mean, population of maybe 30,000. It's a small market town, but it's got a big castle. And so, you know, it understands somehow that I think the people of the community sort of understand that they're at the center of the world right now. Maybe it's just simply that they kind of like that, as long as it only lasts for one day and all the reporters go home, you know. So I think that they're kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, the backdrop that we mentioned earlier, of course, especially in the United States, the fear of political violence, of course, came up again with the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. That is something that is very much on the minds of those within the US delegation coming here, not necessarily something that has dominated headlines here in the UK, though it has been a very important story here as well. Now, we can't confirm whether that has increased any security measures, but they are very significant indeed here today. Let's take you through some of the other events that you'll be able to see on our live coverage of Donald Trump's state visit. We mentioned already the beating retreat ceremony. There's also going to be a visit to St. George's Chapel inside the grounds of Windsor Castle, and that is, of course, where the Queen was laid to rest.
the Queen together with the late Prince Philip, and I think that this will have a lot of meaning for President Trump. He met the Queen, of course, not so long ago, and I think that she really made an impression on him, as she did to many leaders in 7 decades on the throne. People really valued her steadiness and her ability to consider conciliation, and which she talked about a lot in the speeches she had. So I think that will be a very quiet moment for him, and a chance to reflect on someone who really dedicated her life to the country.
And President Trump, has, of course, referred to Prince Charles as a friend of his already before departing the White House yesterday, but also upon arrival here in London. He sees them as being very close, and in fact we saw them, well, physically very close, because they shared one of those carriages together during the carriage procession within the Windsor estate. We saw one of those horse-drawn carriages that had the King and the President inside, sitting side by side, and nobody else inside. Covered carriages, by the way, because of the uncertain weather here. The second carriage, that was the First Lady and the Queen. Again, around 15-20 minutes time for them to have very, very personal conversations. Of course, that is the moment where you'd like to be a fly on the wall, and of course nobody will ever know what they will have spoken about in detail there. Let's end on a festive note, I suppose, and one that I know will see your enthusiasm about this, because you'll be able to see certainly the preparations. You will be able to see the banquet hall where the big dinner is going to be happening tonight. You've been to Windsor Castle many times, but it's going to be pretty special, first of all, for you to see what it looks like inside. But obviously this is going to be one of the main events here, and it's probably going to lead to some of the pictures that will lead the headlines tomorrow. What is the state banquet going to be like tonight?
Well, this, of course, is my favorite subject. So that preamble is because I love talking about the state banquet. Anyway, this will take place in St. George's Hall, which some people might remember as having a terrible fire in the early 90s. So, but you know, it was restored. But because it was restored relatively recently, when you're thinking about 1,000-year-old castles, it'll really look magnificent. So inside, they will have laid out this huge mahogany table, 50 meters. That's like half of an American football field, and around this table will be 160 guests. But because it's such a big table and because there's so much to do, it takes 5 days to set this table. I love that it takes 5 days to set a table. My tables take 5 minutes. But anyway, so I'll be able to get a chance to see them laying out how they've laid out, you know, the silver service, the grand service. This is a 200-year-old, really special, you know, presentation style, elaborate, full of everything from egg cups and salt shakers to candelabra, and flowers, and, you know, flickering lights, and, you know, it'll just really be magnificent. But what'll be even better is to see the people kind of come in.
And what they're wearing.
They're wearing tiaras, of course, and
not all of them. Sorry.
Not everyone's going to wear a tiara, Philip. But, you know, the point about the tiaras, and the reason that my colleagues are so tired of me talking about this, is that tiaras are very unique items within, you know, the royal pantheon. You know, they are whether your jewel is a diamond or an emerald or a ruby, you know, they are the real thing. And they're handed down from generation to generation. You know, for example, Princess Catherine, the Princess of Wales, will often wear the lover's knot tiara, which is the one that Princess Diana wore and passed down to her, and one that Queen Elizabeth II gave to Princess Diana. So, you know, you have that little bit of history just in what they're wearing. And really, the royal women will wear things that have meaning to them, have symbolism to them. For example, Queen Camilla is the patron of the rifles, and, you know, the rifles, the military regiment, you know, gave her a little rifles pin, and she just loves wearing it, wears it all the time. I mean, I don't know what she's going to wear tonight, but, you know, whatever it is will have some sort of symbolism to the event. So, there, you know, not only will just there be a fantastic amount to see, but there'll be a fantastic amount to learn. And, you know, the royals also tend to like send little messages with maybe just a little something so that you might get a sense of what they might be thinking, maybe. I mean, for example, one time when Queen Elizabeth II met with Justin Trudeau when he was the Prime Minister of Canada. She'd known him for a long time. And, you know, so the pictures afterwards were, you know, this like little happy meeting between Justin and the monarch. But there was, behind them, there was this huge, and I mean huge, vase of flowers in both yellow and blue. And we all looked at this for a moment and said, those are the colors of the flag of Ukraine. She's sending a message that she supports the people of Ukraine. But
there are no coincidences.
Oh no, never. But you know, I'm not sure. I mean, in this state visit, I'm not sure exactly that the royals will necessarily have a lot of big messages. I mean, the United States and the United Kingdom are good friends as things go, and I don't know. We'll have to see. Isn't that the best part? You'll just have to look at it and figure it out for yourself.
And all that's left for me to do is to wish you a very nice time within the banquet hall, and hoping that you will join us afterwards and tell us what it looks like in there. I mentioned Danica Kirker, based here in London, is our expert on all things royal family. Now you know that too, and we'll be hearing a little bit more from you later after the state banquet if you don't mind.
I'll do my best.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Before that, you'll be able to follow, obviously, the other parts of the state visit of President Donald Trump to the United Kingdom. Plenty of elements that you will still be able to watch live right here, whether you're watching on YouTube or on apnews.com. There will be footage, of course, of the visit of the royal collection, of the visit to St. George's Chapel. Thereafter, the beating retreat, military and musical ceremony, and then, of course, any footage we get from the state banquet later tonight. That's all coming up, and we will be here live with you again at 5:15 local time. That is -5. 12:15 Eastern time. So we'll be back here to comment on all the things that we will have seen during this state visit of Donald Trump to the United Kingdom. And one note still, if you are watching our live coverage right now, it is because we have journalists for the Associated Press around the world, and if you value our unbiased independent journalism, then feel free to support our work. You can do that at apnews.com/donate. That's apnews.com/donate. Again, thank you very much for joining us during our live coverage, and we will be back here in the next few hours to bring you, first of all, all the footage from within Windsor Castle, but also we'll be commenting on it throughout.
Está marcada uma reunião para discutir temas sociais, mas também certamente as questões da guerra e as importantes para a União Europeia. Vamos tomar férias pela concentração da If you call to the characters to your camera, then they can all look in the same direction as well.